Okay, so I think we are streaming, but let's just have a look-see, shall we? So hey everyone, I am Dr. Weeze, and this is my first stream in a very long time. So for those of you that follow or have followed me in the past, I had a little baby girl in March, and to be honest, since about then I've just been readjusting to life, and nobody actually warns you about how crazy life becomes once you have a little one. So a lot has changed and a lot is going on, but I'm back into trying to get the streams going again. I've got a ton of new gear in the lab. I've got a ton of projects coming up. The good news is that I'm doing this more full-time than I was before, so there should be a lot more content coming up and a lot more exciting things. We've got some projects we're working on with ROG coming up for the new year, and there'll be more about that in January, but do stay tuned. I know they're going to be quite exciting this year. Let's go through some of what's going on in the lab at the moment. So there's two things that I plan on doing today. The first is I want to just introduce some hardware to you that I've been sitting on for the last couple of months and the last couple of weeks. I was at GOC, yes, the GOC, the Galax competition in Thailand last week. I didn't bring any of that to you on the streaming. There was a little bit of stuff on my Facebook channel that, you know, just some live moments, but life was chaotic, man. It really has been, and I do apologize to my followers that have been waiting for content that it hadn't been there, but things are going to change. So let's just go through some of the stuff that's going on in the lab at the moment. And look, this stream is only going to be on Twitch and on YouTube because I have forgotten how to do the Facebook stuff. I have to spend some time on it, but I really want to just get the work done today. The main thing is I want to introduce you the new equipment that I bought and that we've got in the lab that we need to get tested, and then I need to build a new streaming PC because I'm a little bit frustrated with my current setup. It's just not doing the job anymore, and that is it's going to be quite cool. There's also testing some new stuff that I built for the lab. Let's just transition across. Let's transition across to here quickly. So what I've done is I've actually built a little rotating table, so that when I'm doing some PC building and stuff like that, we can actually nicely swing it around and have a look-see. So I just want to get the chat open quickly because, like I said, I need to do a little bit more work and I need to get back into the swing of the streaming. But at least I'm back online and ready to rock and roll. So let's just start off with the things that have changed, that what you can see straight away down here. System telemetry. Right, so there's some really exciting new data coming there, and I'll explain that to you a little bit later. And then the chat, I'm going to have a screen up here in front of me, so I'll be able to see the chat a lot bigger in the future, so hopefully it'll be a lot more interactive. I want to start off by going through the hardware. Now if you look over here, you can get a glimpse of exactly what is going to be showed today. And so any questions on any particular hardware, you feel free to ask. Let's start off with the one thing I thought that would never come into the OC lab, and that is in the OC lab, is AMD motherboard. So I've gone out and I've got myself a ROG Strix X370F gaming motherboard, and the reason why I went and bought this was because AMD South Africa have been kind enough to give me not just half a tray of CPUs, but 1.5 trays of CPUs. So I need to really, and it's been years since I tested any sort of AMD processor, so I really need to just try and get into this to see where does it actually compete for the price point versus Intel. I mean, like, I'm a big Intel fanboy, I won't lie to you about that. But you know, when an opportunity is presented to try and get up to date with what's going on in the current technologies, you got to take it. So we'll go through the CPU list that I've got here at the moment, and there's a nice variety here. So we've got the A12 8800, we've got the A6 8500, A10 8700E, A12 9800E, the A6 9500, A12 9800, A10 8700, A12 8800E. Is that a duplicate? No? Okay. A6 9500E, 9700E, 9600E, 9700. So I mean that's a really nice variation. So the plan is now to, and it's not going to be liquid nitrogen unfortunately, it's just going to be air cooling or all-in-one cooling. And the idea here now is just to see, right, well, if we're going to be doing a budget build for somebody, if we save the extra couple of bucks by going for, you know, a processor, what's the impact actually going to be on our frame rate? And do we save money on the processor and go for a bigger video card, or do we go for a bigger video card and or for a smaller video card and get a bigger processor? You know, these questions I actually don't have answers to, and that's why I've got to test. Okay, so then on this tray here I've got 5 Ryzen processors. So it's a 3 Pro 1200, Ryzen 5 Pro 1500, Ryzen 7 Pro 1700X, Ryzen 3 Pro 1300 and Ryzen Pro 1700. So we're just missing, I think, the 1800s. I don't have the high end range, but I think once I finish testing all these and I return them to AMD, we should be able to get some others. And obviously I don't have any of the Threadripper or the big horrible ugly processors. The other problem with that is as well, then I'd have to go and buy a motherboard compatible with that. The ROG Strix X370 was reasonably priced. If you're wanting to start comparing it to, say, what you would pay for an Intel board, it's sort of in the hero price range if you have a look at the Maximus. So I think for the function, for the what you're getting in the box, I think it's pretty good. So from what I've read, I haven't even looked at this motherboard yet. I haven't opened the box, but you got the whole gaming package. You got the RGB. I know that everybody likes it so much, and all those good things in the world. So moving on, the next thing we have is the ROG Maximus 10 Apex. So that's also new in the lab. This product was launched in South Africa about 2 months ago, and no, about a month ago. There's still no local stock, unfortunately, and I still can't get my hands on any processors. So the board is here. It's ready for liquid nitrogen. Everything's prepped and ready to rock and roll. I just don't have any A700Ks, so there's no liquid nitrogen coming for this until there's stock. It's a great little board, and we'll go into more depth about it another time. But there's just so much to get through today, so I just want to bang through it all quickly. Alright, so the next thing that I got in the lab, this was for GOC 2017. The finals was held on X99, so I needed to go and buy myself the ROG Rampage 6 Apex. To be honest, I have never had much success with the X99, X299, the bigger quad channel memory type boards. Strangely enough, in Thailand I had no issues. For once, I had no issues with memory, and I had no issues with the board. I did, however, have issues with the one CPU that we tested, and when it came to trying to do 6G, I couldn't even reach 5.1. Swapped the processor out, and I was at 6G straight away for the Geekbench session. So it's quite a nice board. I don't think it's in the box now. It's already been prepared. So I have got 2 Core X 77040Xs that I have tested. One of them is a load of shit, and the other one is not too bad. So we will be testing that one on the stream probably when I come back from Germany, though. I don't see anything there happening in the next week, and I'm off to Germany for the HW World Tour finals on Wednesday next week, I think. So I wanted to try and do a little bit of memory preparation for that. Just I don't have a CPU, so I don't know what to do. The next thing that I do have in the lab, and I've got 5 of them, and that's a 1080 Ti from Galax at the Hall of Fame. So that's that card. I've got I bought 2 of them for the pre-qualifiers. I got 1 ES card before the qualifiers, and we got given 2 cards at the finals. So that gives me a total of 5 1080 Ti's. What I plan to do with those 1080 Ti's, well, there's a GPU power world record to go for. That was done with, I think, 4 Titans. So I've got a board that can take 5 PCI cards, and I'm going to then try and go after the GPU power. The other thing that we're going to do there is I have got water blocks for all of the cards as well. So I'm going to be building a 5-card water-cooled system, which I think is going to be pretty cool. I don't have the water block in here, but yeah, this is the box, and maybe you can, I'm on the wrong screen. Okay, so maybe you can see they come shipped with the water block and everything else, so that's going to be pretty cool. I need to find myself a bloody a pump strong enough to handle 5 water blocks, or I need to use, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 12-volt pump that you use for solar geysers. I recently converted my geyser to a solar geyser, so I have worked with one and it works quite well. What I do plan on doing is not using any radiator for the 5 cards. I plan on using a water tower. So the concept is the same as what you do in a power station, right? Where they got water towers and they use condensation to turn the steam back into water. So I'm going to make a little mini water tower for that. That's going to be quite a cool project. That one I'm looking forward to doing the most. The other bit of new kit that's in the OC lab is the Galax Hall of Fame RGB gaming mechanical keyboard. We got given these as well in Thailand. They look really nice. I'm going to compare that against my Corsair RGB keyboard and see which one I prefer. And that's going to become my new streaming keyboard. Alright, so let's move that to the side, and I think that is the majority of the new kit. Oh, one of the most exciting things that I've got in the lab is the TiVo. It's the Epic Gear TiVo X2 shield for a Raspberry Pi. What this enables me to do is to put all of the information in the system telemetry screen for you guys, so you can see something new this time is with the RG extension out. You can see my postcodes, you can see my temperatures, you can see my real-time voltages. There's really all of the stuff you can see on the OC panel you're going to be able to see on this stream. So that is one of the things I'm most excited about for the new streaming. And then I've also got 4 new DDR4 modules. These are the ones that we used in Thailand. Now, the Galax OC Lab team posted on their Facebook that all the memory was binned by Freddie Armour and by Duxan. So during the live competition, you don't really get a chance to do much testing or to actually really fine-tune it. They are very temperature sensitive, so you've got to find the right temperature to get the right frequencies. But yep, there's written on the back, Dr. Wees, these are the ones that we used in the competition. They did program the SPDs for us as well, so on the CPU-Z memory tab you'll see my name there, which is pretty cool. It's a little extra step that they haven't done before, and personally I like it. I like to have these customized type things. I'm a bit of an idiot when it comes to stuff like that. Right, so moving on, we're going to look at the new stream rig, and I've had some frustrations with my current setup, the overheating and not being compatible with all-in-one cooler, and the case is old and it's just painful. So I'm sick and tired of all the problems, and I've gone out and I bought a Corsair what's it, Air 540 case. That's quite a nice big case. There's no limitations on like the cooling and stuff like that I can do in it, and I think it's going to work really well. The other thing that I've done is back at MOA 2013 or 14, I think maybe 14, I won the lucky draw and I got a X99 Empower motherboard. It's got bent pins in it, so I can't go and sell it on, and I just wouldn't feel right to leave it or to sell it. So it's sitting on the shelf doing nothing. I've got a 6950X processor, so instead of the stuff that's sitting on the shelf doing nothing, I'm going to throw it into the machine. So let's go quickly and introduce you to that board. And I'm sure you guys have all seen this before. It's just the standard MSI X99 Empower. So I think this is one of the last Empower or X-Power boards that was actually produced when MSI still cared about its overclockers. I have straightened the pins and I have tested it, so it does work, but there again you can't feel good about actually moving it onto another person. Just see there's some action on the chat here. Let's just say hello to everyone. Lev CTT, hey, how are you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, so the pressure thing, I think I already answered that question. What are the specs of the modules? Right, so those are DDR4400 if I'm not mistaken, C19. I really need to just switch them on and have a look at the SPD in order to tell you truthfully exactly what they are. Messman, hey, thanks for tuning in. How are you doing? And right, so let's just move on from that. Okay, so we've had a look at the motherboard. I've got the processor installed on it and ready to go. So out of the box, the only accessories that I plan on using for this build, I'll just go through them quickly. It's just 2 SATA cables. Let's just switch the view, I guess. So we've got 2 SATA cables. We've got the Wi-Fi dongles, and I'm going to put the Wi-Fi card in it. It does have hard LAN. The reason I'm going to put Wi-Fi in is then I can switch to backup network should I have a problem with the switch. The board comes with a protection I/O cover, and really it's just like a little shroud that goes over the I/O. I'm going to put it on just for the sake of using it because it was in the box. Then I'm going to use the quick connectors. If you don't know what those are, they are little pins that you can put the power buttons and stuff on. That's pretty cool. Obviously the back plate and then the Wi-Fi card. So that's all I'm going to use on that, and everything else in the box stays in the box. Moving on, the memory I'm going to use to pair with that 6950X is the Hall of Fame 8 gig DIMMs that we got at GOC 2016. They've been a great kit of memory, but that's going to be 32 megs of memory in total. That's like really overkill for a Stream PC, but you know what, I've got it, I'm going to use it. And then with the Hall of Fame memory, I'm going to cool the processor with a 140mm Cooler Master all-in-one, and I think I'm going to use push-pull configuration. That should be more than enough cooling for a stock 6950X. The video card is left over from another project. I built a couple of mining rigs for a customer, and they went away from having 8 card rigs to 6 card rigs, so I wasn't able to sell some of the leftovers. And this is the Asus dual white 1060, and that goes along with the white theme. And you'll see I've got white memory, I've got a white video card. The power is going to be delivered by the Seasonic 750 Snow Silent. That's 750 watt, more than enough power to drive a single video card and a processor, and it's all going to be installed into the Air 540, which is, I don't know if you can see that, I'm going to change the view, is the white and black one. So it really sits nicely with the whole theme of the black and white memory, the black and white video card. I suppose I could have actually used the X99 X Power gaming. That's a silver motherboard, but you know, I think the black motherboard goes quite nicely with the whole setup. The case comes with 2 white LED fans as well, which is pretty cool, and I'm actually going to install it underneath the Stream PC, but where I'm standing here now on its side. It will have ample airflow and it's going to be pretty cool. So I think that is the introduction to all the gear in the lab, all the new stuff. Each project that I've got coming up now will get its own introduction over the next couple of weeks. I'm just finalizing a couple of budgetary items, and yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. We do also have the HWBot World Tour coming up next week, and I think I'll be able to bring you some live content on that if I can get a 3G card when I land. So I want to get going with building this machine, and to be honest, I have not even thought about how to approach this. I think it's a really big case, and I'm not too sure if you're going to get a good picture on the stream, so just bear with me. I'd love to hear if the angle is not working, or if you can't really see what's going on, or if I'm not explaining something clear enough. So I will try and keep an eye on the chat as much as possible, and I just remembered you can actually pop out the chat. So let me just do that. If I remember how, pop out, there we go. Alright, so that's a little bit better. I'm going to change the view again. Okay. Welcome to chat. Okay. So, while I'm busy here, the HW World Tour finals in Germany, Berlin, next week. They have announced the hardware, and it's going to be on Z370 with the Intel Core i7 8700K. But from what I can see, there's a few competitors, and more what I experience as well. There's a few competitors that aren't, or can't get their hands on the hardware. I know Lucky Noob, for instance, was struggling to get his hands on a board, and in Thailand he actually managed to get a board. There's the guy from Brazil. He doesn't have a board either, and I pretty much doubt he has a CPU. I've got a board thanks to ASUS South Africa, but I don't have a CPU. And when I got in touch with the distributors, I said, "Oh, stock's only arriving in February." Just hold on a second for me. I'll be back in a second. Okay, sorry about that. I had a unexpected visitor. I just had to handle that quickly. Right, so that's okay. So basically, I need to just gather my thoughts here, changing the view. Okay, so all I've done now is I've just taken the side covers off, taken the accessory box out. I'm going to take the other side covers off, and then I think the right approach with this is going to be to check to see the motherboard fits, because it is an extended ATX board, which is the reason why I had to buy this size case. Then you put the back plate in, check your all-in-one alignment or position. Put the power supply in, and you should be A4 away. So it comes, this is quite a cool case. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Air 540. So you've got like two separate compartments basically, if you can imagine a divider in the middle of the case. You've got this side, which is your high airflow side, and then you've got sort of this side here, which is got not as much airflow, but that's where you'd put your SSDs, your power supply, and all that sort of stuff. But then the majority of the airflow is all concentrated, and you've got none of that excess heat from, say, the PSU in where your video card and processor are. It's quite a nice design. You've got space in the bottom here as well for two hard drives with what looks like to be like a hot swap type scenario. So it's got quick releases that just slide in and out, and then actually in the back of the case it's got a power and what you might call it, SATA connectors. So it's a very snazzy case, I must be honest. It was a little bit more money than I wanted to spend on a Stream PC, but when it came to the dimensions that I've got underneath the desk on the shelf where I mount it, and with the EATX requirement, I just had no other choice, right? So it was this or some ugly other thing, and there wasn't much of a price saving. So in the back side here we've got a SATA cage, 1, 2, 3, 4 drive cage. Looks like there might be space to put a second cage in. No, so it's just one cage. and that looks like it might have some sort of quick release option as well, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, all in all, not a bad case. Right, so let's stop playing around. Let's have a look. First we're going to put motherboard. Alright, so now I think you might be able to see more with this view. Oh, okay. So I think I need to reposition my camera as well. That no longer looks like it gives adequate coverage. Let's sort that out quickly. I need a clip. I know where I've got some of those. Alright, just a normal clippy thing. So just get a normal little clip like this, and then that enables me to extend out this mounting bracket that I've got on this wooden shelf. So excuse the camera at the moment. It might give you a little bit of motion sickness if you suffer from that, because I'm going to try and just clip that on. That's not going to work, damn. And now I think I'm going to have to build a new shelf for that downward image. But there again, you know, this case is massive. Yeah, it really is a big case. I think with the normal streaming setup and all that, you won't really have a problem. But I plan on doing quite a few PC builds on the stream over the next couple of weeks. So it'll be good to have this. There we go. I think that's a bit better, right? Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Right, so the first thing we want to do is I want to just get this motherboard into the case. I want to make sure that we've got adequate space before we get too involved in the planning. Oh, where does that come from? I just had a little piece of plastic. I think it's from one of the memory retaining clips come out in the box, and you've got to love it when it does that, eh? Anyway, not important. Right, so yeah, that looks really good. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that nicely. So there's ample space here at the bottom for your drives, as well as a slot to come through for your connectors. Up at the top, there's ample space up here for your 240mm or 280mm radiator. There's adequate little like yeah, this is really there's adequate like plastic grommets for the cables to go through and for the wiring to be hidden, and it fits really nicely. There's plenty of working space. Only complaint I might have, and that's probably not a Corsair issue, but maybe it's a motherboard manufacturer. Their grommets, they're on the side here, do not line up with the power connector. I suppose it's really difficult for them to get that right with every damn motherboard manufacturer. One will put the power connector at the bottom, one will put it at the top. But that's a personal gripe. It's not a gripe of the case. Alright, so that looks good. We can go ahead then and install the items we need to install on the motherboard. So let's just move this out the road for a second. Motherboard. First thing we want to do is we want to put this protective, or that's actually the last thing we want to do, put that on. It came with 4 screws. There's a Wi-Fi dongle, 1 screw for the Wi-Fi dongle, and then back plate. You mustn't forget to put that back plate in. Right, so There's a little dual band wireless AC card that just plugs in there. Right, and then it's secured with one screw at the back. Where's my screwdriver? Yeah, this board was pre-RGB era, luckily, so it's going to be a very boring plain build, but you know, it's underneath the desk. It's more of a functional build than a show off build. The most RGB thing in it is going to be the white RGB fans that come with the case. So the shroud just plugs on there, and I see it goes into the standard mounting holes. So we're actually not going to even affix that. We'll affix that with the mounting holes in the case. So it's just a nice little extra gimmicky effect almost, you know. We could think of that shroud as probably the RGB of its day. Right, so this can go back to the side. And what I haven't got out yet is the mounting screws, but I'm hoping in the box supplied with the case we'll have a whole bunch of mounting screws. So next is back plate. Nice clean fit, not a problem there. And let's get that out the way. And then motherboard. Right, so it's also important to remember that if you are installing an all-in-one cooler, some of them have got fancy brackets that you need to install on the motherboard prior to installation. Now, what I'm observing, oh geez, my English today, is that this board, or this case shall I say, actually has an opening behind the CPU socket. So if you were to forget to put the bracket on, I think you would be able to do it thereafter. But with X99, X299, there's no need, right, because the socket retention mechanism actually has a threaded CPU mounting kit. So problem solved, right? Let's have a look at what we got in the box. Right, so we got the standard accessories in the box, which would be your those are fan screws with a coarse thread, or yeah, fan screws. So the coarser the thread, it can go into plastics and that sort of stuff. And then we've got a package here of what looks like motherboard screws. And then we've got a packet full of smaller screws, which could also maybe be motherboard. I'm not too sure of the thread. And then you've got your cable ties for doing a little bit of cable management. And one extra standoff. So the extra standoff, let's see if it's needed. It looks like each hole has currently got a standoff, so I'm not too sure what that is for, but it does allow us now to test the thread before actually doing anything else. So there's a bit of hardware as well which I haven't shown you that needs to go into the machine, but obviously I'm currently using it in the old Stream machine. That's the video capture card, the HDMI splitter, and the SSD/hard drive combination. So in this machine I use a 512 gig SSD. If I'm not mistaken, it is a Corsair, one of the first generations. And then I've got a 750 gig mechanical drive which I use for storing of all the recordings. That then all goes back up into my 1 terabyte OneDrive in the cloud. So in theory I should never lose any recordings, but welcome to South Africa, where you don't always have the best internet and the stuff doesn't always get synchronized. So the CPU was pre-installed. That's because when I noticed that the board had bent pins, I made sure that everything was working before we got going. So all I'm doing now is installing the retention screws for the motherboard. Most cases there are 9 of them. In this case there are only 8 because one of the holes is actually a pin, which I'm guessing is there for alignment. It's quite a nice little feature. And I must say the motherboard went into place quite easy. One more, an obscure place there. Alright, that's that done. Right, so we can think about where we're putting the all-in-one cooler now. So it is 140mm, this is a 140mm fan on the back here, so we could put it in a push-pull configuration here. There is, however, space at the top of the case for a 100 or 280mm. The question being, is when I'm installing it underneath the desk, there will be airflow on this side, and this side, so it should be fine. I can put it basically anywhere. And I think it might be easier in this location. Well, hey Mini Coopers, the ROG extension board, I'll show it to you quickly, plugs into the TiVo X2 shield, which plugs on top of the Raspberry Pi. Right, so this is just the stock standard Raspberry Pi with the eSpeak Gear TiVo X2, right? So that just connects into there. Then this is the ROG extension board. That then plugs onto your ROG extension port on your motherboard. And you can think of it as replacing the OC panel. So everything that you'd see on the OC panel, you'd now be able to see then on your overlaid.live stream. So that's what that board is for. And so for instance, now on the stream, when I bench with a ROG board, you're going to see the boot codes. So you're going to see if the machine's taking 5 minutes to boot and it's hanging on code 62, whatever the case might be, you would then be able to see code 62 on the stream. So it's now no longer me explaining to you what the postcode is, it's now you're going to see the postcode. There's a couple other things there, real-time voltages, real-time multipliers, all that type of stuff. I mean, it's a way of the future. All of these online qualifiers and stuff like that, you know, I'd love to see that being part and parcel of the requirement to compete in the online qualifier, because there's no more guessing work, there's no more, you know, down clocking, up clocking, there's no more hiding behind the truth of what really happened. And more and more you see scenarios where if that was in use, there'd be no questions raised. In a nutshell, that's what it is. I need to clean the processor. Okay, so I'm going to give it a try to mount the cooler where the back fan is. And I don't know if Corsair actually intends you to put an all-in-one cooler there or not, but I don't care. It should fit. I think it'll fit with ease. Yeah, I think it will definitely fit there, no problems. So let's go ahead and just remove this retention plate. Now You know what, I don't know if I have got the X299 mounting kit. I do have it somewhere here, somewhere. Oh, I forgot about that. I've got for Corsair. Where's the Cooler Master ones? I think that might be the Cooler Master kit. So basically what I'm looking for is just a bag of screws for X299. Yeah, I think it might be, no, I see the Cooler Master ones are actually white. Well, I guess it might be universal, right? It's always a problem when you lose the box or you use it and then stop using it, and then anyway, I'll stop jabbering on. Yeah, I'm just going to use the Corsair kit. So I've got the little nut, right, so it's got the thick coarse thread at the bottom which goes into the CPU socket, then it's got the retention kit, or retention screws for the all-in-one cooler. Now these are not the ones for the Corsair cooler. I just need to make sure that there's adequate contact being made with the CPU after doing the first test fastening. So we'll put these in, we'll then test the mount, and then go from there. Excuse me. Okay, let's test the mount. So to test the mount, all I'm really going to do is put a cheap and nasty thermal paste on the CPU, then tighten up, release, check the mounting pressure, or check the mount to make sure that it's adequate, and then we'll do a proper mount later. Cheap and nasty thermal paste. I've got some of this really horrible white silicone stuff, and this is actually even separated and gone hard. Alright, so there's just some cheap and nasty. Let's just mix it up a bit. So obviously I'll be using Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut for this in the final mount. But all I want to do here now is just test to make sure that I'm making contact across the majority of the CPU. I don't know if you can actually see nicely what's going on in the case. Looks alright. Okay, so for the test we don't have to have it in the correct position, so I'm just going to hang it over the edge, pop it on there. There is sitting tight with the thread, and let's remove it. Yeah, good vacuum. And if you have a look at that, it looks like it made pretty good contact, all except for in that top corner there, but I think the paste was a bit thinner there. So let's clean that up. And let's do a test where we fasten it. Just a little bit more thermal paste. The stuff has really gone hard. It needs to actually go in the rubbish bin. It's no longer useful. So it's 9:45 local time in the morning. I do have an appointment with a client at 11 o'clock. So we'll be wrapping this one up. Mini Coopers, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for the well wishes on the finals. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. I'm not too sure where you are coming from in the world, but we'll see you around for sure. Right, so the Cooler Master all-in-one coolers come with these little baby thumb screws. I struggle with them with my fat fingers. I need to find a screwdriver for it. And when I say fat fingers, I'm not lying. Unfortunately, since the birth of my daughter, I haven't managed to find time to get to gym. And I packed on about 8 kgs worth of, I'm just going to call it baby fat, eh? Let's not blame it on anything else except for that. Alright. So those screws tighten up, they don't go anymore. Let's remove and have a look at the contact. So the reason why I'm doing this is just because I am not using the Cooler Master X99 mounting screws. I'm using Corsair ones, so I just need to make sure that the Corsair did not sit lower or something to that effect, which will then prevent the Cooler Master from making better contact. If it doesn't make good contact, I'm going to have to dig around for the mounting gear for the Cooler Master. So if we have a look at that, it looks like I'm not too sure. It looks like it's making contact for the most part, but not as well as I would hoped. So I think what we must do is not make problems for ourselves. I think I must find the Cooler Master mounts. Right, so basically what happens if you don't have good contact, you're not going to effectively cool the machine, and in turn that's going to create heat issues. When you've got heat issues, you're going to have stability issues. When you've got stability issues, that means my stream stops broadcasting. When my stream stops broadcasting, I get upset viewers. Upset viewers stop watching my channel, and then don't produce any more content. Alright, so let's have a look up here. And then if I don't have any viewers, then my fiance leaves me, and then my fiance leaves me, then my daughter leaves me. No, I'm just kidding, man. Okay, so if I found in my box for the 280mm all-in-one that I got for Cooler Master, there is X299 mounting gear or X99 mounting gear in there. But I'm currently using the 280 on my other test rig, which is just behind here basically. So clearly I used the mounting kit from the 140 on the 280, so I'm just going to steal the mounting kit for the 280 to put it onto the 140. Very complicated, and a couple extra steps that we didn't really need to do, I suppose. But I haven't seen you guys for a long time, so it's nice to catch up. Right, so we've currently got 1.3% drop frames on the stream, and CPU usage is 19.3%, still at 30 frames per second, uploading at 2.175 megabits per second, megabytes, megabits, mega somethings. Right. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and install the memory while I've got this open and the all-in-one cooler's out. The memory slots you use are the furthest away, skip one, and then in there, the same on the opposite side. Furthest away, and then skip one. Now X99 is horribly fussy about its memory. I mean, it's ridiculous. I remember spending hours trying to figure out why I couldn't get the machine to boot when I first started working with X99. X299, I spent a good 20 minutes when I first got the Rampage up and running with the 740X, and I couldn't get the bloody thing to work, and it was giving me memory issues, and I thought, oh geez, here we go. It's a repeat of the X99 days of things being horrible and not being easy and having to read the manual. What I didn't realize is that the 7740X is only a dual core memory, only has dual core memory, so yeah, it's never going to work because only two of the memory, so I had to use opposite, and yeah, look, eventually I got it sorted out. So you just have to use, I had it in the wrong side with the channels that weren't working, and I didn't follow the launch of X299. I didn't follow all the CPUs because typically I can't afford that platform, so I didn't even bother. I didn't get to Computex this year when the launch happened, so I was really out of the loop completely. So a little bit of a dumbass moment. Right, so just cleaning off the old thermal paste. We'll get the new thermal paste, and I'm using Thermal Grizzly, Crynaut, and with these big chips I like to spread it, especially with the all-in-one. I'm not too sure what the mounting pressure is, so I don't know if it actually spreads it out efficiently, so I'd rather just do it myself, and then it eliminates any questions. The beauty of the rotating table. Right, so there you can see, got a nice even sort of spread. Doesn't have to be perfect, but yeah, just try and get it evenly distributed. The next thing we're going to do is orientate the cooler. Okay. Clean off the bottom. Okay. When putting this in here now, you want to make sure that you're not going to damage the surface, as well as you're not going to damage any components on the board. Right, so we are putting, the idea for this case is air is going to come in the front via two fans, and it's going to be pulled through the radiator out the back. So we need to install the airflow I think the easiest way to always remember which way the airflow is, if you see the sticker, then the air is coming towards you. If you don't see the sticker, the air is going away from you. Now, a lot of fans normally have an arrow on it indicating airflow, but like this one, it doesn't have an arrow. You can use that little bit of information to aid you. So we're going to install it there. I want to orientate the cable to be away, so install it there. Then I want to put the grid back on that comes with the case, and then a single mounting screw through. So the idea is through the grill, through the fan, and into the radiator. Right. Through the grill, through the case, through the fan, and into the radiator. And into the radiator. And let's do the top one. That bottom one seems to be a bit dodgy. There's always one, isn't there? What might have happened there is the threaded part of the radiator might be bent in, which is why I'm not making contact with it through everything here. Everything else is aligned and tight. So you know what that means, right? Undo it all so you can bend it straight. Now what I might actually think about doing is replacing this fan that is supplied with the case to a Cooler Master. Yeah, that's bent and stripped and nasty. With a Cooler Master jet flow, excuse me, sorry. The reason being is the jet flow has got those rubber feet which eliminate vibration. So they're pretty cool. I like them. Okay. Now, to solve this problem, I could use slightly longer it's just not making contact. I need to get a slightly longer nut bolt. Do I have? I do have. I have got an SSHD, but I don't have an Intel Octane memory module. I haven't seen any reason to buy one, and I don't have a lot of support from the local Intel office to have one to test. What I can do is I can drop them an email and inquire if they do have a sample I can test. I'm not going to rush out and buy one, to be perfectly honest. I'm personally not convinced of them, but I am using NVMe SSDs. I think that's probably the reason why. Alright, so I'm just going to quickly look for a longer mounting screw. The problem here, those are the same. No, those are longer. There we go. And hopefully not too long, because there's the next problem. If it's too long, then it doesn't get tight. Let's just give it a whirl. Yeah, too long. I've reached the end of the thread. I do have an assortment here. Just give me a minute. Shorter. That one. Longer than that one. Yeah, that will do. Okay, problem solved. And okay. Yeah, look, it would be an interesting test. The question I have is what is the expectation, or what does the marketing material say the advantage of the Octane is, right? So it gives you faster loading times, puts the games into memory. So the question is, then how do you actually put that to the test? Is there actually a test you can run in order to put their claims in there? So what, loading time? I don't know of a benchmark that tests loading time, maybe PC Mark or something like that. Yeah. If I can find out how to test it reliably, I suppose I'll be quite happy to then actually pursue it. But yeah, a lot of these things cost money, and you can't reliably, it's all subjective, and I don't like doing subjective type articles. I like it to be factual. So there must be a way, I suppose there must be some way that they came up with their marketing material. Let's just have a look into it. I haven't, here again, I haven't looked into it, so I wouldn't honestly know the truth. Okay, so what we've got is the all-in-one cooler now installed with the air being pulled out the back of it. The air is coming in through this way, going out that way. We're now going to install the actual copper water cooler, the CPU fan, optional fan, CPU fan 2 is there, and rotate that around like that. Okay, that's done. Let's get the tightened up. Increasing the read speeds, not the write speeds. So I know it provides huge boost to HD and SSD, but no effect on SSD. Yeah. So I guess the real question would be, what does one of those Octane drives cost? So for instance, if we had to say an average gamer would take like a 500 gig SSD, for instance, what is the cost of a 500 gig SSD versus the price of a mechanical drive or a one of those hybrid mechanical drives, and then the octane. Then you got to see now, right? Well, that's what the knock on your wallet is going to be, or the saving on your wallet. Then what is the performance gain? So if it's meant to help with loading times, I guess a simple stopwatch could even be good enough to perform that test, because I'm sure they would have some sort of marketing claim that it's 5 times faster or 3 times faster. And then you could do something silly like, does it run, what does it load Crisis at, or something, silly. I know everyone loves Crisis. Or you could do something to that effect. I mean, I think it would be quite an interesting test, to be honest. And like all things in this world, if I haven't tested it, I'm normally ignorant to it. There was something the other day that I learned for the first time, and I was quite impressed, and I was like, whoa, that's actually pretty cool. And I didn't know anything about it because the marketing just never reached me. But yeah, there's no reason to go and spend the money unless there's at least for the stream, unless there's a nice test that we can do around it. So what I'm doing now quickly is I'm just plugging in the fan header. So there's a header right here by the all-in-one cooler. It's not an accessible place, to be perfectly honest, under normal circumstances. So I'm just having to maneuver things around. Okay, got it in. So the cables tuck away nice and neatly. For the pump cable, I plugged it into here, which is the CPU, and I pushed the cables through the cable management here. So everything's routed really nice and easily. So I just recently in Thailand got myself 2 512 gig SSDs that we can put into RAID 0 to give that a test. I've also got about 5 or 6 250 gig SSDs from all the GOCs I've done previously, which we can put into RAID. We could actually do quite a nice little bombardment of SSD octane type scenarios. I must have a look at how much are those octane drives costing at the moment. I mean, what are they rushing you for them in US dollars? I must have a look. So right, so with all the mucking about there with the screws, there was a little bit of metal filings that just came out, aluminium. So I'm just using okay, can't be aluminium because it's stuck to the magnet. Okay, so we just clean that up a bit. Then what we're going to do next is we'll plug in the 2 front fans, and I'm just having a look on the board. There are 2 optional fan headers right here as well. So we'll do the same thing as before. We'll just take off the cable ties, plug it on the header, and then I'm going to route the cables back down underneath. So once we've got all of these cables installed, then we'll go install the power supply as the next step, I think. So this one here can just, actually I think we'll thread it through. I'm just doing a little bit of quick cable management. I don't know if it's possible to show much of that on the stream. Maybe no. Actually, let's take that one through the same hole. Okay. So what's happened here now is that cable's come out through the drive cave, and I've got to thread it down and around and through. So I wanted to come out the same place as that and then go up to the side. And the nice thing is that the way these cables are coming through, we can hide with the ATX power and the USB 3. So there's front USB 3 and HD audio. I'm going to get that plugged in. So USB 3 I think is only in the front of the board. There's USB 3 there at the front, and there's also one at the bottom. So I'm going to take this one through the bottom and plug it into the USB 3. Actually, that's great MSR. The retaining shroud for the USB 3 has come off when I've removed the USB 3 cable. That's really great. Thanks MSR, I appreciate that. So now I've just got bare pins exposed, and you know what that means. Bent pins. I'll just show you what I mean. So that little plastic shard basically just pulled off. So let's get that back on. Shouldn't be a major problem. Okay. Alright, so that's back on. And let's plug that back in. So the reason why I removed it is because I had it coming out the bottom here, and then I decided to rather bring it out this side because there's quite a serious loop in that cable because of the thickness of it. So that's your front USB then. The next thing we've got to look at is your audio, and the audio is in the front of the board. So to get there, our only option is to come through the big slot at the bottom and then go across. Alright, so that just plugs on like that. So I remember I said the quick connectors, so let's just clean up the desk a bit here quickly. Put these screws away. The quick connectors are these jobbies, right? So it's just a little header, right? I don't know if it's focusing there. It's focused on it now. So the reason for those, and what makes them so nice and handy, is when you're working with the cable, you work with the cable where it's comfortable. So if I swing that around, you pull the cables out, right, so you can work where it's comfortable, and you can get the plethora of stupid little cables in front of you where it's easy to work with them, and then put them onto the pins, and then plug that straight onto the motherboard as a single plug. It just makes your life easy. So hard drive LED, then we've got the reset switch, then we go with a power switch, and then we've got your power. This one says FP power sleep, so that might not be the power LED. Let's have a look on the other quick connector. Power LEDs on the second connector, right? So there's ground, and then there's sleep LED, and then there's power LED. So let's put the power LED on. Alright, so it's just you see, it's just little connectors, and once that's done, you thread that through, and there's JFP1 and JFP2 at the bottom. So we're going to thread it through the bottom opening in line with where the connectors are, and JFP1 and JFP2 have got different pins missing, so you can't get it wrong. Plug it in, and you're done. Alright, so I need to do some cable tying. I need to put the SSDs in, I need to put the hard drive in, and then that would be done. What I haven't got yet is video card and power supply. Alright, so a lot of people put power supply in first. I'm of the impression that once you've got all your components in, you know where you need to put power to, so I do things a little bit backwards. Video card, we're going to bum to slot 1, so what you do is just line it up. You can then see which screws you need to remove or which backplates you need to remove. Bang those out, and then we can pop this in. Okay, backplate's gone, and oh, that 960 Evo looks damn fast, man. 2,400 megabytes per second. I think that's incredible. I actually don't even know what's good or bad anymore. It's been so long since worrying about SSD speeds with PC Mark and all of that sort of stuff. I mean, nowadays with the benchmarks that I do and I take part in, or 3D or CPU or memory, SSD speed has not played a role in a long time, and it's something I need to get back up in touch with, and I need to understand what's available. So part of what I won in one of the competitions online quite a while ago was a 750 series solid state drive from Intel. It's that one there, 400 gigabytes. I think it was one of the first NVMe drives out there, and to be honest I haven't even tested it. Random reads, no, what are we looking at? So sequential 280k reads megabytes per second, up to 2,200. So it's not bad. It's a little bit slower than those Evo 960s, but I got it for free. Well, when I say for free, I took part in the competition that I worked really hard at and won. So nothing's really free in the overclocking world. You've got to work for everything, you know. Now my fat fingers and these bloody thumb screws are not playing well together, so I'm going to resort to a pair of tweezers, and so basically the ASUS video card comes up a bit so you can't actually hold the screw while trying to get it into the slot, and then the slot's also not lining up quite nicely, so you're having to use a little bit of force. Let's just adjust this now. Okay, I think I can get that one in. Okay, there we go. We've got one screw in at least, and I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to worry about the other, unless it lines up nicely now. Maybe, let's try. Oh, fat finger problems. Okay, there we go, I got it. Okay, never mind. I won't complain anymore. Right, so the 1060 requires a single 6-pin connector. What else do we need to worry about here? We've got the 12 volt for the motherboard. We've got the ATX for the motherboard. We need a single 6-pin. Okay, so let's get the power supply out. What's the time? 20 past 10. Okay, so I've got another 20 minutes or so to get this finished before I need to pack up and get going. 11 o'clock is my appointment, and the place is about 3 to 5 minutes drive away. It's not too bad. Right, so this is the Seasonic 750 watt Snow Silent. Nice little power supply from Seasonic. It is 80 plus platinum, which means I'll use less electricity per hour and a higher efficiency, right? So we're going to need SSD, we're going to need 8-pin motherboard, we're going to need 4-pin motherboard, ATX power supply, and I'm going to take out a spare serial ATA. No, I'll only ever have 2 drives in there, but I'm going to take out a spare 6-pin and leave it in the case in case I have a different video card that I want to put in there and it requires 2 8-pins or something like that. So just a little bit of forward thinking. Everything else can stay in the box. No need. Pop that away. Alright, take the bag. Alright, and there it is. Happy days. Okay, let's get this cleared out. No, I forgot the paperwork out. Okay, case back up. And now we will turn it around the other way. So this is the motherboard is installed in here. You get the SSD cage here. You've got a drive bay here, so if you wanted to put in a dual bay water cooling loop or something like that, you could put a rad in front here, a reservoir, that you could see it. It's really spacious. You're not wanting for any extra space in this case, that's for sure. I've done some custom builds in some cases. The clients have requested they wanted a EK water loop, and then they go for a small case, and you've hardly got enough space to blow your nose, let alone install a custom loop. Okay, so first thing I'm looking at here is the power supply bay. There seems to be some sort of a adjusting bracket here. I'm guessing that's for if you want a bigger or smaller power supply. So first thing we're going to need to check is where are we with that. So let's just bum the power supply in here and let's see what we're looking at. Okay, so it looks like I need to adjust that bracket back 2 screw holes. Okay, so it's held in place by 2 thumb screws, but because of the bracket itself, I don't know how you'd ever think of using your thumbs. Ask no questions. Okay. Alright, so it's just a little brackety thing. Honestly, not 100% sure what the purpose of it is. I suppose if I read the manual. So let's just move it back 2 holes from where it was. It was there, so we're going 1, 2, we're going to there. Wow. And then before we tighten everything up too much, check it. Okay, power supply. Okay, there we go. And I actually think it needs to go back 1 more. I'm not too sure if it's meant to sit on the, like, oh, okay, no, that's perfect, okay, never mind. yeah, so it is definitely a retention plate for the power supply. It's got like a little bevel there and a bevel there which just holds the power supply in place. So if you're traveling with your PC, your power supply won't be moving around from being unsupported at the rear and only supported in the back, in the front, you know. It's actually held on by this little platey thing at the back, so there's extra support there. It's a good idea. I suppose a lot of these PCs do travel to LANs and to all over the place, even just from the store home. And it's little extras like that you find on these high-end cases. This case set me back $200 in South Africa. I'm sure it's a little bit cheaper elsewhere in the world, but unfortunately, because it's a large item, we pay an excess on shipping. But yeah, I'm not going to complain. And we'll just... Okay, and I'm just looking here if I'm going to use, and I think I should use them, then I do need an extra... I need an extra SATA cable, because I've got a SATA cable with 2 connectors on, which is going to be plenty for my SSDs, right? But then if I'm going to put a mechanical drive in, I might as well plug it into the hot swappable bays, which then require me to supply power as well. So I need a 4 power connector. So I'm going to put this one, I'll keep it out. I'll grab another one. Alright, so let's start connecting up. And what I'll do is I will keep the bigger SATA, and I need to do cable management on all of this as well. And I keep the bigger one with the 4 connectors for the 4 drive bay. So if I want to expand the SSDs in this machine at any time, I've got ample power. There's no problems there. The actual SATA connector I can just feed through and get that out of our way here now. And there's another one. That just gets fed through. Okay, then we'll take the dual SATA cable, which is this one, and we'll connect it in, leaving a space, and those can get powered. So because the case has got dual chamber, in other words, the cables are kept completely separate from the airflow side, cable management does become a little bit easier. So you're just wanting then to cable tie everything into manageable bundles rather than neat channels, because when you're working with airflow, you've really got to make sure that your cabling is not causing any turbulence. Right, so I'll just bundle that up and then it can sit in the corner. That's that one out of the way. These cables can get done with the final cables. Actually, we can put a cable tie there quickly. And a second one just to hold that all together. Okay. Right, next we're going to put through okay, sorry, just a couple of messages on the chat. Okay, next we're going to put through the motherboard power. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it should be at the top here. We're just going to verify its location. So we've got a 8-pin and a 4-pin. 8-pin is on the right hand side and the 4-pin is on the left hand side. So the 4-pin, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that and I'm going to I'm just going to pull it back because it's not necessary to have both through, and just thread through the one that I'm going to use. And have I taken the wrong side? I might have. No, I haven't. There we go. Okay, so we keep the 4 pin that we're not using hidden at the back. Makes it nice and neat. Then we'll take the 8 pin and feed it through the same side so the cables are together and nice and neat, and clip that in. Now what would be nice if we did some custom sleeving for all of this, but I'm still waiting for my sleeving kits to arrive for the builds. We just funnel that down and you just find an open slot to plug them into. There we go. And again, just trying to get cable management done and done. Okay, I'm going to take the ATX power, again verifying where it is so you can get it through nicely, and I think the bottom one is where it's at. There we go. So I'll plug this one in and then I'm going to pull back the slack to make it as neat as possible, and then hide the fan cables that I ran through the same slot underneath the ATX power. At least that's the plan, right? Right, plug those into the appropriate slot on the motherboard, on the power supply. So it takes that, and then the one below it. And then we need a single 6-pin to be taken through, and the other 6-pin just to be left in the back of the case. And the reason for that is if I want to expand and put a different video card in, I don't want to have to hunt for the box that goes into storage after the build is done. Alright, the video card, the power cable can come through the same as the ATX power. Nice and neat, just run it across the top and in. Alright, so that's that, I think. Is there anything I've forgotten? Let's do a sanity check, why don't we? Right, so, right, okay, we don't have any hard drives plugged in or anything yet, but that's because they're all in this other Stream PC. The extra cards are still in the Stream PC, hard drives are in the Stream PC. So let's plug the hot swap SATA cables in, and then we can pull back the slack. So maybe, just looking at, I think they should come out that hole there. So let's pull them back. And time 34. I swear cable management takes just as much time as everything else in these builds. It's very important though. It's a lot of people overlook cable management as being an important part of a build. Not only does it look sexy and nice, but you know, airflow is an important thing. Alright, so there we've got the two SATA cables in for that. We've got the video card, we've got the all-in-one, we've got the power, we've got the memory, we've got the CPU 12 volt, your ATX power, your fans are all plugged in. So what we can go ahead now and do is plug the power cable in. Let's put the video card, the display in, mouse and keyboard. And switch it on and see what happens. Power cable. Right. Oh, you know what we haven't done? Is we haven't fastened the back of the power supply into the case. So to do that I'm going to need 4 screws. Those are case screws, those are fan screws. Shit, I think I put them away. Where did I put the... yeah. And 2, let's need 2 more, 3, 4, okay. Alright, so for the initial test all I expect is for it to post, get to the BIOS screen, and then I guess we're going to have to just call the session because the rest of the build I need to take parts out of the machine I'm using to currently stream with, so that's not going to work too well, is it? And okay, let's switch it on. If we've done everything right, we should switch that on. We should have then standby power on the board, which we do have. Let's maybe put it flat and then you can see what's happening. Okay, so we've got our VGA in, our mouse and keyboard in, we've got standby power, power switch. Okay, power LED does not work. We've got the motherboard lighting up, we've got the blue LEDs on, fans are turning. Fans are turning. So let's see if we post. And just see if we post. Oh, I'm vibrating. $70, $79, $91, $95, $96 B2, so we should have a picture coming up now. There we go, picture. And there you have it. So it's working. Let's just get into the BIOS. F10 enter. Right, so now what we want to do is, we can't go into Windows because I don't have Windows. Let's just get into the BIOS and let's just have a look at the CPU temperature from there. 2211, so yeah, we're about out of time. Right, in the BIOS, so CPU temperature. We've got 32 gigs of memory, 6950X, running at 3G. Obviously I plan to tune that up a bit. CPU temperature 29 degrees. So that's alright. And there we have it. Yeah, looks good. A little bit of cable management still required. in here. Just have a look, you know, down the bottom here, some of these cables. It's really strange why, you know, they give you a grommet on all the other openings except for the one at the bottom. It would have really just polished it off if there was a grommet on the bottom hole as well. It would have just neatened everything up. I suppose once you've, no, even when you got your mechanical drive in there, it will still be open and you'll be able to see. Maybe there is a reason for it. Maybe you do need to get a bit of airflow through that way. I don't know. Anyway, I think that just about wraps things up. I will have to obviously off the stream grab the components out of the other stream rig and put them in here, and the next time I stream it will be done on this rig that we just built, that we just built on the stream. When am I going to be streaming again? Well, that's a good question. So I'll be streaming at odd times and at set times. After the December, January holidays, I'll be streaming twice a week at fixed times, and then streaming in between every other stream. You know, a lot of the stuff, a lot of the custom builds that I'm going to be building for customers moving forward, it's all going to be done on the stream. You're going to see every single build that I do. It's going to be pretty much of the same. Sometimes it'll be more interesting, sometimes it won't be. But yeah, it'll be pretty cool, I think. I want to say thanks to everyone that dialed in on the chat and had a nice conversation there. Lev, CTT, it was nice to meet you and to tune in. Hopefully we see you around some more. If you are based in South Africa, guys, I've got some really cool events coming up next year. We're busy finalizing all of the paperwork with the vendors. Stay tuned for that. I will be publicizing it everywhere. It's really going to be cool. But I guess let's sign off. Let me go to my appointment, go make some money quickly, and I will be around soon. So yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, happy benching, man.